Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the Retro Life for You podcast. I hope you guys have had a good week. We have a good treat for you guys this week, this Tuesday. I think you're going to enjoy it. If you've been anywhere in the 80s watching movies and you saw The Adventures in Babysitting and Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter is Dead, as well as many other great movies, and you know this person I'm about to bring on with me now. So, one second as I bring him in here. Ladies and gentlemen, we got Mr. Keith Coogan with us this week. Keith,
Hey,
thank
how's it
you
going?
very much for coming on with us.
Absolutely. Thanks for.
I've been harassing you forever, I know, and I feel like I've been really harassing you at this point. Not
No, I
trying to
haven't.
harass, but
Not
feeling like I'm harassing.
no harassment whatsoever. It just took a while for us to make sure
Yeah,
that
just trying to keep it, find that one good meeting point. Let that be it. You stay really busy. I'm telling you, every time I look on Instagram, you are somewhere doing something, and I'm like, if I only had a fourth of his energy, I would be all right, man. Well, once again, thanks for coming on with us, and I guess we'll start off by talking about. I see you had started off early in your childhood with acting. I know your grandfather acted. Did you get into it because of like a family thing, or did you just want to act at a young age?
I just wanted to act at a young age, which I guess it's in the DNA.
Yeah.
I had a pretty young mom. She was 16 when I was born, and my grandparents were. My grandfather was, Catholic and the church and stuff. And this is 1969 when my mom was 15 and with child. She turned 16, and about a month later, I came along. She didn't talk to my grandfather at that time. Didn't know anything about him. And so I'm probably 4 years old watching TV, Sesame Street, Electric Company, Zoom.
Right.
And I said the phrase, I want to be on TV. My mom was taken aback by that. She explained to me, well, actors, and you have to start out and train, and then you do commercials, and then guest appearances, and you have to learn how to, do the songs. And I got, it sounds, I'm not interested. It sounds like a lot of work. I didn't understand. So she said about 6 months later, some commercials on, and I jump into the living room and I'm singing, Oscar Mayer Wiener, or whatever it is. And I said, okay, very serious for a 5-year-old. I said, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to go on TV, whatever that meant. I didn't even have no idea. So
Right.
Got an agent and got started at it, doing commercials and then guest appearances on shows and eventually movies. And, I was probably 8 when I saw The Kid at a screening here in LA. And by that time, I'd started to piece together that this was kind of a family business. And then really, I think after that screening, I realized what an impact my grandfather had, his career, the law, the Coogan Act, and Adam's Family, all of that stuff.
Right.
So, it was
That was a very popular show. I watched it. I mean, it was a very popular show. Matter of fact, that's my last name. I grew up hearing that forever in school. In elementary school, kids are terrible. You walk by, they're like, dun. That's what you hear from them when you walk by. I'm like, that was cool though. I liked it. I was like, yeah, I love that show. Let's do it some more. Come on.
We just spotted
it's great.
Adam's Family lottery ticket here in LA, just sitting in the machine, and it's got the original 1964 cast on it.
That's cool. That is really cool. I noticed you were in a lot of TV shows. You mentioned how you would start out some commercials, some jingles, some guest appearances, some TV shows, and everything. You got quite an impressive list of TV shows I noticed earlier. Of course, it's off to my right. I'm trying not to look at it, but I can't help it. Little House on the Prairie, The Waltons, The Love Boat, Fantasy Island, Laverne and Shirley, Mork and Mindy, Eight is Enough, Knight Rider. What kid didn't want to be on Knight Rider? Growing Pains, Silver Spoons, Fame, and Chips. There might be more for all I know. This is just all I've seen listed. And it's funny because I noticed which episode of Knight Rider you were on when I was, reading more into you earlier. And I just seen that the other day on Netflix. They have it on Netflix. And I was like, no, he's not on there. No, because I would have seen that. I would have noticed that. I went back and looked again. And I'm waiting and I'm waiting. I was like, wait a second, was that him? It was you, the little boy, for the sister who runs the shop or something. When the guy comes to town, want to go rock climbing, but still, I mean, how cool was that? You get to sit in the kit car, you're on the show. Not many kids get to say that, that's like a bragging point for a boy when you're young.
And it was before the show had aired, so they had, it was I think the third episode or fourth episode of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Knight Rider hadn't aired yet, even. I knew it was going to be the coolest dang show ever. I was already into like Dukes of Hazzard. And Friday nights had the Hulk, and then Dukes of Hazzard, and this Knight Rider thing. Futuristic sci-fi. The car talks, drives itself. This is going to be so cool. Yeah. A little different when you get to the set. There's no voice of Kit. It's the script supervisor. Yeah, yes, Michael. Okay, just reading the lines.
Mm-hmm. Oh, when you see the finished product, you probably felt a whole lot more really into it when you saw the finished product on television and everything. That's what made it so cool. But yeah, that was a good time to be coming up at that point. You especially if you like the vehicles from the TV shows. You had the General Lee from the Dukes of Hazzard. You mentioned watching that. You got the kit car from Knight Rider, the A-Team
van, the Chips motorcycles,
the Coyote car from Hardcastle and McCormick.
Mm-hmm.
All kinds of great things like that come up in that time. And did you have a picture?
Suzanne Summers Vet from American Graffiti.
That's cool. That's cool. Did you have a particular show that you enjoyed the most? I mean, I may have said it already with Knight Rider. That may have trumped everything. But if we take Knight Rider out of the mix, did you have any other kind of a favorite show that you did on television when you were younger that you guested on?
I think that the Laverne and Shirley and the Mork and Mindy are two. I got to do the last episode of Mork and Mindy. Work with Jonathan Winters and of course Pam Dauber and Robin Williams, and that was I was a huge fan of Mork and Mindy, and we'd attended tapings. My mother and I had gone to just tapings. Why I think I watched the one where they go to work and Raquel Welch is in it, and had auditioned for it and didn't get it, and then got this last episode. I don't think everybody knew it was going to be the last episode. But while we were shooting, they found out in the middle of shooting that they weren't going to get picked up. So the set turned kind of dour. But it was still super fun to work on the show.
And it's got to be a hard thing to, bring that set down. You got Jonathan Winters on there, Robin Williams. I mean, how do you keep a straight face among those guys? That's got to be tough on its own, Right. Yeah. I mean, you guys are hilarious, coming up and watching them and everything. It was great. Laverne and Shirley was a favorite as well. Spinning off of what Happy Days, I believe. That was always fun. So also noticing Growing Pains, Silver Spoons, and you mentioned Chip's motorcycles. You were on Chip's as well. Now, don't tell me you got to ride on a motorcycle too, because I'm really going to be jealous at this point.
I did. I did an episode called Killer Indy, and I ride a mini bike.
Oh, okay. But it's not the Chip's bike, though. I mean, it's not the Chip's bike. Okay, well, it's okay. You're off the hook then. Knight Rider car is cool enough. If you get the Chips motorcycle too, then I was be like, okay, it's all up. We're done. It's over. No.
I stole the Waltons car on the first episode of the Waltons that I did. I hopped in and it ran out of control and I crashed through the fence and destroyed the flower bed. And I also, vehicles too, but animals. For some reason, I worked with a lot of animals as a kid. Your cats and your dogs, but your horses and cheetahs and raccoons and snakes, and so I always made friends with the animal handlers.
Yeah, and I saw you were in cheetah as well. That was pretty cool, man. You do work around those types of animals. That had to be something else.
Oh yeah, you're nervous about getting mauled. They say cheetahs don't really hurt you too much if you're just in a room with them. They can scratch you a bit or whatever. Yeah, their whole thing is breaking your neck at 70 miles an hour when you're running from them.
Yeah.
And they were sweet as pie. They were two. We did go to Africa to shoot the movie, but they flew the cheetahs out from the San Fernando Valley. They were animal actors.
Mm-hmm. So trained to be around people and everything, and they knew how to behave and everything. What did you do in Little House on the Prairie? That was a favorite of mine growing up. I mean, I just had Patrick Laberto on a few weeks ago and talked with him, and we talked some Little House on the Prairie as well. What'd you do on there?
Well, Patrick's amazing. We just saw him at the autograph convention here in LA. I was
Oh yeah,
on an
he's
episode.
fine. Yeah.
I was on an episode called "Make a Joyful Noise," and it was at the blind school, and I was a troublemaking kid that was blind. That Ketty Lester, she was in a love triangle between like the rich pastor guy and the working class janitor at the blind
Were you
school.
the kid? Were you the kid that didn't want to learn with all the other kids?
Pretty
Is
much,
that the one?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, totally. I
Yeah,
didn't
I know
want to
what you're
accept
talking
the
about. Then.
blind.
Yeah.
Probably scarlet fever or
Your parents were coming to pick you up soon. All that good
sure.
stuff. Yeah. No, I
Exactly.
remember that.
Total denial. So he teaches me how to fight, I think, like punch a big punching bag, and I cry. And then at the end, instead of marrying, she's about to marry the guy, and all the kids come out with the Moses gun and singing "Go Tell It on the Mountain," and then she changes her mind and makes the right love decision. It was a great episode, and it really only featured Ketty Lester, Moses Gunn, and myself.
Yeah.
Had really none of the. It was like a whole episode of the blind school.
Mm-hmm. I do. Like, it's a shame. I can remember everything from then, but I can't tell you what I did last week. I don't know why this is, but I have a good memory of stuff like that. It feels like crazy stuff. Kind of jumping ahead a little bit, I guess. Here, Adventures in Babysitting. Was that? I know you did. The voiceover in the Fox and Hound, and I'm trying to remember if there's anything in between that. And I told you I could remember all the way back then, but not last week. I'm gonna make myself look bad now. Between Fox and the Hound and Adventures in Babysitting, but Adventures in Babysitting was the first thing I really knew who you were in at that point. I didn't watch a whole lot of other stuff, and when I did, being younger, you just watch it and you run outside and go play and all that good stuff, and your show's going off and that's it. But Adventures in Babysitting was a fun movie for me. I already knew who Elizabeth Shue was from Karate Kid, and definitely into her. I mean, that was great. Tell me about the movie. I mean, is there any kind of a fun story you may have from the movie or anything like that may have happened on set that you recall that was a good memory or something?
My God, it was took a good part of 3 months, 2 weeks of rehearsals in Toronto while they're building sets and kind of getting the production design together. We're rehearsing and kind of rehashing the script, doing a lot of like improv, and then shot 2 months in Toronto, a lot of the outdoor stuff, a lot of the set pieces where they kind of built sets in a warehouse, and then moved to Chicago for 2 weeks to kind of establish it as being in Chicago,
Right.
and then back to Los Angeles for a week of special effects, recreating scenes from that we shot in Toronto and in Chicago, and shooting little insert bits that we needed to kind of finish up the movie. And from beginning to end, it was always my dream. I've been auditioning for films for from The Shining to E.T. and Goonies and Gremlins and Stand By Me and just Lucas and Christmas Story, and had not gotten cast in any films. And so Adventures of Babysitting was amazing first break. Chris Columbus, it was his directorial debut. Obviously, he went on to amazing things. And he really is that perfect blend between Spielberg and John Hughes. He fought for me to be cast as Brad. And I just had a huge crush on Elizabeth Shue the entire shoot. The whole thing was what it was. We were driving around Chicago, the streets, hanging from buildings and climbing the rafters and riding the loop, the L train around Chicago. It was had all of the support from Touchstone, from Disney. So all the trucks and cranes and lights and kind of tricks you could possibly have. Great stunt team and effects teams. Most of it was done practically.
Yeah.
So it was, I like to call rolling thunder. When you get to set and you just see several 5-ton trucks, grip and electric, and camera truck and hair and makeup and wardrobe and craft service and the lunch spread. And it takes a lot to, run around Chicago. But it's so fun. It's so real. I think the cast really did get along, and we liked working with each other. And we were constantly under the pressure from Chris Columbus to make it believable. He goes, it's outrageous situations you're in, but try to react realistically and not go over the top. He would just cut and go, OTT, that was over the top. Like, bring it back down, ground it. We had fun every day, every single day. So nothing really sticks out. I mean, from day one, we almost knocked a camera off of Pruitt's tow truck, the Dawson garage truck. They had a camera mounted outside the truck, and that thing almost fell off. It was a Panavision Platinum, so it was worth about $250,000. So we almost won $250,000 over budget on day one, but the camera was safe. Everything was fine. It's a lot of moving parts, 80 crew members or something. So
it definitely looked like a fun movie to make. I mean, just watching the movie, I've seen it so many times, and it just looks like it's so fun to be a part of what was going on, and that y'all were genuinely enjoying yourselves. It looked like there wasn't, we all know you're acting, but I mean, it looked like you genuinely enjoyed every minute of what was going on while the movie was happening.
It was as much of an adventure as the title would suggest. Like, filming the movie was an adventure for sure.
And just so you know, you don't get out of here without singing the blues. Just making it known.
Nobody leaves this place without singing the blues.
Nobody leaves this place without singing the blues. It's okay, and I'm not a Lords of Death, so you can say some things. I'm not going to throw a knife in your foot or anything. We're good there. The cast went on. It seemed like to do a lot of other things. I mean, you went on to some other movies and everything. Did well with them. I noticed. I didn't know it was him at first, but the guy that played your friend in the movie, I've noticed is playing in one of the new Star Trek shows on Paramount. If you're a fan of Star Trek, it's a fun show to watch. We all know Elizabeth Shue went on to do other things. I'm not sure about the youngest, if she went on to do anything or not. I know you've seen her recently because of your Instagram. You had met up with her somewhere or come across her, took a picture with her, but I didn't know if she's still acting or anything like that.
She's an attorney, an advocate.
That's cool.
Much smarter than I'll ever be.
Probably both of us put together, but that's good. That's good for her, though. I mean, that's great. That's definitely a good field to be in. Had you ever wanted to do anything like voiceovers? I know you did the Fox and the Hound as a young kid and everything, but I mean, other than after that, have you thought about voiceovers in any way? Video games or cartoons?
Absolutely. Fox and the Hound was a fluke. Don't remember auditioning for it. I don't remember necessarily auditioning for, animated in particular or voiceover work. It was just another call. And then afterwards, I did get a couple of opportunities. I auditioned there. I got this script for Hamlet, the Lion King. Obviously, they changed the title to just the Lion King. And I auditioned for the role that would eventually go to Tom Hulce in Hunchback of Notre Dame. He's a very talented Broadway performer, so I understand that casting choice. And then also auditioned for tons of TV shows, animated stuff, commercials, voiceover work. They fired the original Jack in the Box, the voice of Jack, for Jack in the Box. And they were like, we needed someone who sounds just like him. Hi, go to Jack in the Box. Get the new $2.99 special. And it's great work, but it takes a lot of work that you don't see. I'm a screen actor with the eyes and the hamming it and physical comedy. And there are a handful of actors in town that do the heavy lifting for most of the voice work because they're really freaking good at it. So, I've auditioned for well over 100 different animated pieces, and I'm very happy that, if one of the classically Disney animated movies is your sole credit for voiceover, then I will gladly take that.
Hey, that's something to brag about. Fox and the Hound was a big thing for kids back then, when it came out. That was a fun movie.
Fun? Your definition of fun and my definition of fun are
well, wild. I mean, you had a little bit more work to do than I did. I was just watching it. I got to enjoy watching it. You had
working on it. I was super fun. There's the kid parts. We don't have any. The sadness comes in the bittersweet part, and the adult story, how that tragically unfolds. So it was the kid stuff. That was the innocent, fun stuff. Watching the movie was horrifying.
Oh well.
It does stand out from Disney's films as being particularly emotional. It breaks grown men. I think it still is effective and it still has a really good message. You know who the Hound was?
Well, the voice of the Hound.
Yes.
No, it's been so long since I've seen the Fox and the Hound. That's not something I've rewatched over the years. Disney movies like that. I mean, I would watch when I was younger, but I wouldn't have rewatched them over the years and known that much about it. I just noticed that you had done one of the voices in it earlier when I was looking at your stuff.
The Hound was Corey Feldman.
Was it really?
Yeah.
You know, it took me a minute to realize he was voicing one of the Ninja Turtles one time, so I'm not surprised I didn't catch that. It took me a while to figure out that he was one of them doing the voice on that too, and I kept thinking, why do I know that voice? You know, sounded familiar. I couldn't put a face to it, but it was driving me crazy too. I finally broke down and asked a friend. I said, "Who's doing that voice right there? That Ninja Turtle?" He said, "It's dude from it's that Goonie kid." I said, "Which Goonie kid? There's several. The one of the Coreys." I'm like, "Oh, okay, I got you, Corey Feldman. That's who it is. That's why it sounds so familiar." But it took me a minute to pick that up. I don't know why it does that. I did not know. We mentioned Patrick Laborto earlier. You said you'd seen him recently. I did not know he did voiceovers for Spider-Man. I didn't catch his voice on there either.
Huh?
And he was telling me about that. So, I mean, it just goes to show you how much I pick up on stuff like that. My attention to detail is not great, I guess. But I enjoy the shows. I mean, so did you have a favorite growing up you like to watch? You mentioned you watched Dukes of Hazzard. Anything else you liked growing up?
Incredible Hulk, Saturday Morning, Super Friends. I like, of course, Happy Days and Laverne and Shirley, but I also like weird stuff like Barney Miller, MASH.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like any hour dramas or Dallas or any of that stuff, but certainly A-Team and Riptide. So speaking of vehicles, there was a show where they had a big pink Huey as helicopter as their vehicle with shark teeth on the front of it. That was a very short-lived series, but thoroughly
a lot of
enjoyed.
People don't remember that show. If you ask them, a lot of people won't remember. They won't know what to tell you when you say Riptide. They're like, "No, I don't know what that is." Like, really? Yeah. Never seen it at all. I mean, it was cool. It had the two guys. I think Joe Penny was one of them. It is this boat. You're like, no.
Yep. You nailed it.
Right. Like, you just see Airwolf at least, though, right? You know, if we're talking about vehicles, and they're like, yeah, I seen Airwolf. Who didn't see Airwolf, you know?
Airwolf, Battlestar Galactica, Buck Rogers. I still was watching, the original Star Trek series would rerun.
See, me and you could be the same person, except you acted, and I didn't, and you have more hair than I do. But we could be the same person right now. I mean, I watched all those shows. You throw in the $6 million man, and you got a winner.
Oh, I had the 6-inch $6 million man figure where you look through the back of the head for the bionic eye and arm peels back. And I was a huge $6 million man and $1 million woman. Absolutely.
I think if we all had half the toys we had when we were kids, we'd all be rich right now. But we didn't. If we knew what we knew now, if we knew it then, it'd be different, right? This is not that way. I know. So you've gone from Avengers and Babysitting, which was great, and all the funness of the movie and everything. Cousins, Ted Danson, was it Isabella Rossellini, I believe is her name, Lloyd Bridges. I mean, you've been around some very high quality people, in these movies and acting and everything. Did you learn anything from them while in the movie, or did they work with you much, or did you just kind of?
Was a truly special shoot. Joel Schumacher directing. He created there's the two families, the Marinskis, the Italian family and the Polish family, and he cast background artists to be the family. This is very synecdoche. So when we're shooting the wedding scenes, there were 3 weddings and a funeral in Cousins. So lots of days of everybody dressed up, and you start creating this universe of the families. And Cousins was like having a movable feast for 3 months in beautiful Vancouver, beautiful weather. Don't forget Billy Peterson, Norma Alejandro, um, the George Coe. I think he dies early in it. That was one of the most like lush, beautiful, rich films. And I agree with you. I got on the set and I'm looking around going, are you sure I'm the right one for this? And as a matter of fact, the producers later, they came up to me and they go, do you know why we cast you? And I said, I don't know. They go, well, you weren't the best for the role of Mitch. Huh. My jaw is on the floor. I'm like, really? They said, no, when you read with Ted, you made Ted the best that he was, that he would pair it up with any other kid to play his son. So I was cast because I brought something out of Ted Danson. And so there was a connection there. As a matter of fact, we flew out together from LA to Vancouver, and he's very shy. He was at the time, he's the highest paid actor in television, and painfully shy, but, didn't like to go out in public that much. And this isn't necessarily from his fame. I think he's always kind of been like that. He said he started acting because he followed a cute girl into the theater as she was auditioning for the show, and he went up for it and he got it.
That's great.
So it just came very easy to him. And I even went and visited the Cheers set after and met Woody. And there was a point where we were filming Cousins, and our camera man, the cinematographer, Ralph Boda, he had shot the Sting concert film. And Sting was in town for a concert and gave out tickets to him and whoever wanted to go. So me, Ted Danson, and John Travolta and Kirstie Alley, because they were shooting Look Who's Talking at the same time in town. We all went to a Sting concert and went backstage and met Sting. That was a mind-blowing for 18-year-old me.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, anybody who were a fan of that time would be mind blowing. Probably just getting back there.
Yeah.
Something you wouldn't expect to do. That's if you can see my shirt, that'd be like me when I was younger. I'm sitting here wearing this. So when I'm younger, if I'm hitting backstage at that and I'm meeting Gene Simmons, I'm not knowing what to do or say. That would have been really cool. I'd just been like, nothing's coming out. I don't know what to say at this point. That would be super cool. Well, I lost track of where I was. Cousins. That's bad, isn't it? Can't lose track. You can't be a host of a show and lose track of where you are. That's not cool. There was somebody supposed to be on the show with me earlier. They were going to join in and take part of the interview process with us and everything. And he wanted to ask you about one movie in particular, and I skipped over it already, but I'm going to go back real quick.
Ooh, yeah.
He really liked the movie Hiding Out.
Yeah,
he liked it a lot.
Pass up the John Cryer movie.
I have to go back and watch it. So I'm going to plead ignorant. I've never heard of it. I haven't seen it yet. So I'll see if I can find it somewhere and watch it.
He was looking for something to produce. He found the material, got the money. He made this movie, basically starred in it, and to take advantage of the fact that he looks young, that he's got this baby face. So he is a stockbroker who gets involved with the mob, washing money through bonds or some crap mutual funds or something, and is gonna rat on him, and he goes into protective custody, but they wind up murdering the other. There's a rat inside somewhere to know, so he runs away from protective custody, changes his appearance, and goes back to high school. And I play his cousin. He comes to stay with us,
right?
Me and my mom, who's his aunt, who's really played by his real mom. So it had Annabeth Gish, who fresh off of I think the one film she'd done before us, and then Mystic Pizza might have been next. And shot in Wilmington, North Carolina. John Cryer, unbelievably cool dude, great older brother, cousin, whatever it is that we played, fearless leader on a set, and was the last movie that De Laurentiis Entertainment Group released before it went bankrupt, holding up residuals for about 5 years before they reformed as another company. But they were also shooting collision course with Shadow Stevens and Jay Leno at the same time.
Shadow Stevens. That's the guy from the Hollywood Square show, right? Is that who
Yeah,
you're talking about?
DJ and in LA.
Yeah.
They were also doing. It's the same area. We shot in the same sets as Blue Velvet, Dream a Little Dream, The Crow.
Yeah. And from what I understand, a lot of that happens actually a lot. From what I understand, reusing scenes in old sets and other movies, and sometimes people pick up on it, sometimes they don't. Was just talking with somebody about Point Break recently, and they pointed out that in Point Break, when they're playing football on the beach, it's the same area on the beach that they were doing the soccer game in Karate Kid when they were kicking the ball up and down the beach.
Same area on the beach where, From Here to Eternity, when they're rolling around in the water.
A lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. You mentioned earlier you auditioned for a lot of things that you didn't get into and everything. Was there one in particular that you think stands out in your mind that you wanted the most?
Oh God, yeah. All of them. I mean, so many, all of them. I didn't know enough about E.T. to, until it later came out. I was like, oh, wow. Because Spielberg's pretty secretive about what it is that you're kind of going up for and how much information you're given on the whole story. You never know. You get, there's a saying, you get the cast for the part you're right for. And so as much as I might have wanted another of those roles, I mean, I went up for Lloyd Dobler in Say Anything. Obviously, I'm a little too young. I think I was 17, but I didn't look near as old as John Cusack. So there's ones you go up for, you just know you're not right for. I went up for the Geek in 16 Candles for Anthony Michael Hall's role. Yeah, you want all of them. I really wanted Friday the 13th Part 4 Final Chapter, because I was really into the Sean S. Cunningham films, and Corey got that. Corey Feldman got that one. Dang, I missed it by that much.
Yeah, played the young Tommy. I think he was
Tommy Jarvis.
Had him in there, Judy Aronson, and gosh, one other person stands out in my mind. I can see their face and I can't call their name, but that was probably my second favorite or third favorite Friday the 13th. I always liked the Part 6 the best. The Jason Lives.
Yeah,
I thought that was. I always liked that one. You mentioned you tried out for the Goonies as well. Do you ever think? Well, I mean, you don't really want to dwell on things like that and look back in the past and wonder, but in your mind, do you think if you had gotten cast as one of the Goonies, would it have changed the direction that your career went or anything, do you think? Or do you still think it's all about more or less that, you still may not have fit this role that you auditioned for still, even regardless if you had been in something like the Goonies?
Yeah,
I mean, I always wondered how that worked with people sometimes. I mean, I don't know if it's a mindset or if it's just, if you're not right, you're not right.
I think that's more it. Even if I had gotten mouth in Goonies, that doesn't mean, because I went up for Gordy in Stand By Me, Will Wheaton's part.
Mm-hmm.
But Corey played, what was his character name in Stand By Me? God, it's just slipping right now. So I'm more of a Will Wheaton type, or at that time. So if I had have gotten mouth, it doesn't necessarily make me any better for the Will Wheaton part. As a matter of fact, it shows that whoever would have gotten mouth is actually probably more geared towards the Corey Feldman role from Stand By, if that makes any sense. Will Wheaton came up, we were doing an autograph convention, and Will Wheaton came up to my table and he points to the pictures on the table and he points to Adventures of Babysitting. And Will goes, that one. And keep in mind, I've worked with Will 3 times. Python, Tales from the Crypt, and Toy Soldiers. And I go, what do you mean that one? And he goes, that one. That I wanted that movie. That one I really wanted. And I would go, really? Because you Stand By Me. That's, Stand By Me is something that I really wanted. And I go, tell you what, Will, would you switch? And he goes, no. And I go, there you go. It really is in the eye of the beholder.
I mean, Stand By Me was a great film at the time and everything. I mean, it was very enjoyable. And to be a part of that was something special anyway. I mean, you probably wouldn't want to give that. If you look back at it, you wouldn't want to give that up for sure.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't think so. And it's funny you mentioned working with him 3 times. Now that's the direction I was going with the next one. I love Toy Soldiers. That was a fun movie for me. Uh, I've this a great mix of humor and some action, little bit of drama because the school's being taken over by some terrorist people, obviously, and everything. But I mean, there's still some very humorous moments in there with you and the group of guys you were with. What was that? Also, the first time you'd worked with Sean Astin, or had you worked with him before in something else?
We had a production company when we were 16, and we also made shorts and used to knock Matt Mackenzie around quite a bit. Me, Gabe Jarrett, who was Mitch in Real Genius, and Sean, we were like 3 Musketeers growing up. So I'd known Sean. Also, Sean's dad and my grandfather had done Addams Family together. So he was family. I knew Sean since we
That's
were
why I was asking more or less. I wondered, since they had worked together in the past, had you guys grown up around each other and worked together before with other things? I don't remember a movie before that where I saw y'all together in a movie or anything, but to be able to still, to know him and grow up with him would still be great.
Super fun.
Super fun, yeah.
I got cast first, me and Lou Gossett Jr., and so they hadn't cast any of the other kids yet. And Dan Petrie Jr., the director, let me read the other, because Lou wasn't available to read the scenes with whoever is going up for Billy Tepper. He has me do it. So I'm pretending to be Lou Gossett Jr., pretending to be the dean, and reading everybody that's coming in, through. And everybody, they saw everybody for that. And we're all about 5 years younger than the Brat Pack, I would say. About. Yeah. I think Chad Lowe was 2 classes above me. So when I was in like 7th grade, he'd be in 9th grade. And then Rob was probably 2 classes above Chad. So probably 4 or 5 years difference between us. So I think I scraped at the, I was at the bottom edge of castability for the kind of Brat Pack films. And my competition, I was up against River Phoenix, Christian Slater, Corey Haim. Come on, give me a break. They're going to get all the good parts because they're fantastic actors.
They had combined a lot of great movies, I will say, for sure they did.
Oh, yeah. Explorers. I did
Explorers,
go up
yes.
That would have been fun.
I love that movie as a kid. I thought that was great. Just wanting to be one of them in the ship going around. That was really cool. Lou Gossett Jr., I can't say I've ever seen a bad movie with him in it. What was it like working with him? Was he
bad word? He it's funny. My grandfather said, "Take every job. If it's bad, no one's going to see it, and you get paid. And if good, great, or you'll meet somebody that you'll work with later, or you'll learn something at least." I feel that Lou, regardless of why he might take a job, doesn't matter if it's Toy Soldiers, Iron Eagle 3, or Officer and a Gentleman. He gives this same Oscar-winning. He puts the same work into it. So he's fantastic. He's you look up professional, in the SAG book. Picture of
and then there's been some silly movies I thought he was in. I mean, I'm a big Chuck Norris fan, but Firewalkers wasn't exactly probably the greatest plot for a movie ever. And you got Lou Gossett Jr. with him playing the sidekick and partner, and he's killing it in that. I mean, then you come here, he's a principal of the school or headmaster, whatever you want to call him, for Toy Soldiers. Iron Eagle went to 4 movies? Iron Eagle 4 before he finally called it quits on it, I believe.
Dude, do you remember Enemy Mine?
What was that?
Do you remember Enemy Mine?
Enemy Mine, yes, actually.
That was some of the best sci-fi ever. He's just great, everything he does.
Gosh, I've not heard that in so long. And Dennis Quaid was the other, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah, it's been a wild stuff that's been thrown at me. I'm not going to lie. During that time frame, as far as those kind of movies, of course, like everybody else, you love Star Wars, right? But I don't include Star Wars in the mix because Star Wars is a thing all on its own. You can include it in the sci-fi movies, but nobody's ever going to pick another sci-fi movie over Star Wars unless they're a Trekkie, and then they're
Now,
going to pick Star Trek. But the last Starfighter
Silent
was
Running, was Silent Running before Star? Wasn't Silent Running like 74, and Star Wars came along in
yeah,
77?
I believe so.
So and because Douglas Trumbull eventually started working for ILM, but the single point lighting, the model work, the droids, I think that's when I started to first crawl into the Star Wars universe. Was with the Bruce Dern film with Silent Running. We also had Logan's Run, and they even had a Battlestar. Wait, was it didn't they have a movie, a Battlestar Galactica movie at one point?
I want to say I want to say they did. I don't remember if it came to the theaters, if it was TV,
for us,
because
then released overseas as a movie.
It may have come to the theaters because I do remember a $6 million man going to the theater because I was a kid in the theater watching it. And it's the one where Andre the Giant was in there playing the Bigfoot, the bionic Bigfoot or something like that. So my mom will tell everybody that I was the loudest kid in the place. And somebody that went with us asked me what would I do with that big hairy thing come after me. And my voice would apparently carry when I was a kid. And I couldn't say bionic, so I would say, "I'll put my bionic shoes on and jump over everybody." Tells everybody that. Not embarrassing at all, but Battlestar Galactica may have hit the theater for a minute and then back on TV again. I don't remember going to the theater to watch it though. But like I said, the last Starfighter was my thing as far as a space movie would go. Then for sure, I was fortunate enough to. I want to say she was my first guest. Catherine Mary Stewart was our first guest to come on in the first season we did this, and we talked to her about it a little bit. And she mentioned that still to this day, they're trying to come up with a sequel so many years later, the original writer and everything. It's just not a guarantee. So she said, I won't tell you too much about anything because, I can't say much, and it's not a guarantee, but it would be the two of them years later if it gets done because the original writer is going to be writing it. And they're going to come up with a story that's going to be realistic based on, 30 years later, basically, because it's been a little while since that came out. I'd still go watch it. But I mean,
come back. I can go to the trailer park. Get Will Wheaton's back because Will was cut out of Last Starfighter.
Was he really?
Yeah, he was one of his friends. And definitely bring him back. Now, how do you deal with the passed away cast member?
So Robert Preston?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nathan Lane. Done. Cast.
I think it's somebody. They could do it. I got confidence in them all the way. But, back to your movie, though, Toy Soldiers.
The irony is, if they remade Last Starfighter, they would use practical effects.
I hope they don't remake it though. There's some things I don't want to see remade. Some shows I don't want to see touched ever in a remake. I mean, if we're going on 80s movies, I don't want to see The Last Dragon ever touched or remade. There's no way you can take that movie and make it like a recent or newer movie. That's 80s cheese all the way.
Chris, break your heart. So, there's been a lot of late 80s, early 90s stuff being remade.
Mm-hmm.
It is not necessarily nostalgia. It is a contractual clause in the Writers Guild America West. They say that if the studio doesn't exercise the intellectual property within 35 years, it reverts back to the original writer.
Really?
Everything. Sequels, merchandising. You think they're going to let some schmuck that lives in Simi Valley in LA in a one bedroom?
So you're telling me I'm going to have to put up with a remake of The Last Dragon or Big Trouble in Little China or
they're looking at the bottom line on these movies. And if you see that date pass, so now we're at like a year after Top Gun, right? If you see that date pass and they didn't remake the movie within 35 years, they're probably done with it, and they won't. But they'll do a quick knockoff, a streamer, a direct-to-video, or whatever you call it,
Mhm.
and that will re-up it, and then they can kind of hold on to the rights.
Wow. You learn something new every day, Not necessarily something you enjoy, but you learn something new every day.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It's all right. It's all good. I mean, we I joke about it with friends. We'll say certain things shouldn't be touched, but you can't get away from it eventually.
It is show
Yeah,
business, entertainment
yeah,
industry.
exactly. And then you can't get away from some things. It's going to happen eventually. We can fuss all we want. We can say it's not right. That's not how it looked or whatever. But it's not 1980. It's not 1985 or 84 anymore. It's completely different year, so it's got to look new anyway.
Hi,
So,
babe. Here's my wife. She
um,
says hi.
hello.
There you go. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, like I said, Toy Soldiers was a fun movie for me, and then you went straight from there. You had a busy year in '91. Toy Soldiers straight into Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. Um,
In
and
real
I
life,
always
it was the way around. I shot Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead first, and then went and shot Toy Soldiers, but they released them.
just backwards on it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you still had a busy year to say the least.
Heck yeah.
You were
And Book of
definitely
Love also came out that year, so I had three pictures. That was definitely that was it. I peaked.
you're like, I need a break at this point. Tell us about your character from the Kenny Crandall. I mean, obviously it gave you a good catch line to use, years down the road, but I mean, how fun was it starting off the way he was and then watching the character mold into something different?
The reason I took the reason I wanted the part, the redemptive quality, the arc, Guns N' Roses heavy metal stoner turns into a gourmet chef, and I have done after school specials, movies of the week about crazy social topics, important things, and of all the things that change people's lives, believe it or not, Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. I have gotten fan mail and notes online, met people at autograph conventions, and not just a few, not several people that said that movie changed their life. They watched Kenny and they were a layabout, stoner, and they said they joined culinary academy. They learned how to be a chef, and now they're a 5-star chef at a gourmet restaurant in Miami. So I was blown away by that. I mean, because that's what I liked about the character, like show him changing. And the whole point of the movie was, at the time they were doing parents leave town and everything falls to hell. And they said, what if the mom leaves town and everything gets better? Everybody grows up a little bit. And so that is why I love it. It's Kenneth now.
Kenneth, yes.
I love Kenny. I think he's, it had an opportunity to go into a caricature. It was right on that edge, but I felt he was a real character. He was Neil Landau's brother, one of the writers. By the way, every line of Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead was written with both of the writers. No one went off and wrote a scene and then showed it to the other. They wrote every line as a comeback, and that's why there's 5 great lines on every page of that script. The dialogue in Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, fantastic. And I just took it so seriously. I was buried in the character. I didn't even see the comedy in, especially the kind of domestic scenes with his sister later. I was just playing that straight. And thank God we had Steve Herrick. He directed the original Bill and Ted's, Excellent Adventure, a good kind of model for Kenny. Yeah, that was a hoot. That's what I say is the funnest movie I worked on. Cousins is my favorite, but Don't Tell Mom was the funnest.
Yeah. Yeah, it always, the transformation I thought cracked me up, going from, like you said, being the stoner with heavy metal to being on, you're out there at one moment on the roof with your friends, doing the dishes, skeet shooting, and then you're all seriously mad because someone's done stomped the floor or something and made your souffle fall. I forget exactly what it was now, but it's this hilarious. The whole turnaround, how your character was now the responsible grown up one, whereas Christina Applegate's character is the one that had to step up and be the adult while the mother was gone to bring in money of some sort and everything. But it's great. It's a great movie all around. I really liked it. I would ask for a while to people because they're both babysitting. I'd be like, "What's better, Adventures in Babysitting or Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead?" And people are like, "Dude, you can't ask that question. That's not even right because they're both good. They're both good. It's not fair." But and then going on the stoner routine here, we got in the Army now. Stoner number one.
Thank you.
So you weren't really technically long term in the movie. I'm taking you to cameo in the movie. Was
the director was driving home from the desert where they were shooting it, and he had directed Toy Soldiers. Same director, Dan Petrie Jr. So he's driving home, and I knew Paulie, I knew Andy Dick, and he's driving home, and he has an idea for the end of the movie. He's going to just have them with their stereo shop and the camel and all that stuff. And then he's going to have two guys walk in that look just like Pauly Shore and Andy Dick. And they're going to repeat the same dialogue from the beginning and go and sign up for the Army Reserves or whatever. And it happened in one take. Because it was a shot with the crane and the thing. And then you watch us go in. They roll the credits for the entire time. And then we come out of the Army office and do some more gags and stuff. And that was my buddy Matt Walker as the Andy Dick guy, and I was the Pauly Shore guy with another wig and jean and leather jacket or whatever. So it was a very easy part to slip right into.
Yeah, that was some good stuff. I loved the movie. Was fun for me. I like Pauly Shore in that time frame.
I forgot Esai Morales was in that too. It's so funny. And,
yeah. He was one of the more serious gun guys. He was
totally hardcore, and then they wind up rescuing him.
yeah. I didn't know what I liked more at first, In the Army Now or the oh my god, they call him Crawl. He's playing a fake boyfriend of the girl going back home to the parents' house for the holidays, and his name in school is Crawl, but the father keeps messing up and calling him Crotch or something like that.
I don't remember.
Anyway, it's around the same time it came out. It's a really good movie. I wish I could think of it. It's on the tip of my tongue as well, and I can see the movie in my mind right now.
Shore movie, Son-in-Law? No.
Son-in-Law. That's it. Son-in-Law.
I've never saw Son-in-Law. It's one of my wife's favorite movies.
If you haven't, all right, she needs to make you sit down and watch it. It's a funny movie. If you like Pauly Shore, you'd enjoy the movie. But
love me for Pauly. Yep.
I want to ask you one more thing. I don't want to keep you no longer. I've had you on for a while, and I appreciate you coming on and everything. But I want to get with one more thing for you because I have not seen this, and now that I've read about it, I want to see it because it's just, I can't help it. Sometimes I want to see one of these crazy movies. Like you got Lake Placid. You've got. I've never seen a shark. I've never seen a Sharknado in my life, and I'm not going to. But Python just sounded cool. I mean, I've seen Anaconda. It was good, but Python just sounds like it's something I need to see.
Python it's the only, I think, film franchise I've been involved in with the sequels. So there's Python, there's Pythons, also with Billy Zabka, who's in the first one, with Jenny McCarthy, Will Wheaton, and Frayne Rosenoff.
And surely Billy Zabka killed the snake, right? He just, he can't sweep the leg or anything, but surely he did something.
Take care of that snake. His dream from the first movie to get into special forces comes true. And then he fights the snake in the second one. And then they did Python versus Boa, or there was a third movie.
Right. That's what it's, I saw that. That's what it's listed as.
That's Ken Holland's company. He was the, in summer school, he's the one that is asleep all day because he's at the strip club all day.
Yes.
He produced Python.
Did he?
Yes.
That is amazing. I did not know that. When I first saw that guy, I'm not gonna lie, I thought he was Jim Carrey because he was always sleeping and you didn't see much of him. But when I barely saw his face, I thought, "Is that Jim Carrey?" Because he had a resemblance to him back then. It seemed like. But
no, Earth Girls Are Easy and Peggy Sue Got Married. Those are the best early Jim Carrey roles.
Yeah. Well, if you will, anything you got going on these days that you want to put out there? I mean, are you doing any more? Are you still on the Comic-Con tours going on that throughout the states or anything coming up?
going to be huge announcement was just made. Elizabeth Shue will be at Rhode Island Comic Con coming up. Huge news. Vincent D'Onofrio's there. Maya Bruton's there. I'll be there. We're working on other cast members. A couple of cons coming up. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Keith Coogan. That's it. Just Keith Coogan. Nothing really creative on that. I have a website, keithcooganonline.com. You can order autographs. I even sell signed dishes. Dishes are done, man. We got the Quarantine Bunch, which is former child stars that started an online support group during the pandemic. We started that right at the beginning of the pandemic. That's on YouTube. I am on Our Own, which is on Amazon Prime right now. It's co-starring Brian O'Halloran. Bunch of Jersey boys whose parents moved to Florida, so they're stuck on their own in Jersey. And that's got a lot of the View Askew universe people. Reboot. I was just in Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. Also, the director of Magnum Opus, the making of Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, Josh Roush, directed a film called Wrong Reasons. That I've seen a cut of it. It's almost done. And I also just was in Team of Two. This is a buddy cop movie where the guy can't keep a buddy cop, so he goes through 19 partners. I'm one of the partners. Very fun. I did 5 things just during pandemic, so it's been. Oh, and The Rookie. I just had an episode of The Rookie on ABC. Very explosive guest appearance. They blow me up with dynamite. It was embarrassing.
Explosive to say the least.
Name was JJ. All right. Dynamite. So yeah, good fun time. Still doing it. I love this business, and will always act as my grandfather acted his whole life. I will go down swinging.
Well, definitely. I mean, keep it going. Keep I'm just waiting for the next big thing to come out. Just let us know.
They're coming.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for coming on the show today. If you make it to a Comic Con close to Nashville has one sometimes, and Knoxville has the Fanboy Expo. If you ever happen to make it down this way, if you'll let me know, I'll make a point of coming out and seeing you there and everything.
Yeah.
So it might be a bit of a distance for you to go there, being from California, right?
Nope, we fly all over. We kicked off the year with Anchorage, Alaska. This year we've been to Indiana, Illinois, Texas, Arizona, Florida, Jersey, New York, Rhode Island. We are coming to a city near you.
City near me. And possibly near you too, people. Just watch for it. All right. Well, once again, thanks a lot for coming on, man. I appreciate you coming on tonight and sitting with me and talking about the stuff. It's been a blast. I hope everybody out there enjoys listening to you talk about the stuff you were in and the stories you told and everything. It was really, really fun.
Thank you. Retro Life for you. Thanks for the time. I totally appreciate it.
Definitely wish you the best. Thanks a lot, man. You have a good night.
Dishes are done, man.
Dishes are done, man. All right, everybody. That was Keith Coogan of Adventures in Babysitting, as well as he said many, many, many other things. Hope everybody enjoyed the show today that we did. We had a blast doing this, and I look forward to next week talking with you again. So be sure to look for us on social media at Facebook, Instagram. We got a little Twitter account going on at Retro Life for You. If you have any questions or comments or anything, you can reach me at retrolifeforyou@gmail.com. But your best bet to get me is either the email or the Instagram account, either one. So, once again, I'm glad Keith was able to come on and speak with us tonight. It's been such a fun night, and we look forward to seeing you guys next week. That being said, good night, everybody.